We are calling this Leon County School Board meeting on May 28th at the Aquilina Howell Building to order. We are going early today, so those of you who are out there watching, which I can't imagine there are too many of you, but those of you who are out there, we're going early today because tonight is Godby High School's graduation, and we are going to rush over there as soon as this meeting's over and shake the hands of all those fine graduates. And we're looking forward to it. I see the principal is here, so he must be ready to get on the road as well. So we'll do what we can to get you in and out of here, Mr. Cole. Okay, let's have our Pledge of Allegiance, Superintendent.
Madam Chair, if I may, I'd like to introduce Apoorva Srivastrava. I hope I didn't mess that up too bad. Apoorva Srivastrava from James S. Rickards High School, who will lead us in the pledge and take their seat as the newest school board member for the 2019-2020 school board year.
If everyone could please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated.
Thank you, Apoorva. Now, I'm not sure, hold on, before you sit, did I act prematurely on him coming up to the dais?
Yeah, I think you were a little bit.
Okay, so I have to wait till August. I was really excited to have another male up here with me. So you can tell I was like, come on up, dude, let's
I was too.
Good for you.
I heard nothing but glowing remarks about your interview, and so excited about you sitting up here with us over the course of the next school year as you represent not only your senior class, this class of 2020, but 34,000 other students as well. So very excited for you, excited for your principal, Doug Cook,
Looks like we may
Dr.
have
Barnes, and others.
mission here.
No, go ahead.
We're going to go ahead and got his working and just a small token from the school just to welcome Apoorva to the school board as a school board member. Thank you.
Okay.
We look so forward to having you sitting up here with us.
We do.
And I think we wouldn't mind if you just came on up here if you want to try out your seat, but I don't know.
I'd love to.
That's not okay.
Try it out. That's right.
Yeah, you can try it out.
Try it out.
So while he's coming up, I also want to introduce Madeline Fiak, one more time. Fiak. So I had some challenging names. I'm glad I'm not at graduation tonight, Principal Cole. So welcome. Do you want to come up? Why don't you tell the board a little bit about yourself and where you go to school, things you're involved in, and
So next year I'll be a senior at Leon High School. I'm actively involved in Student Government Association as well as science outreach programs at the Mag Lab. I'm very excited for next year and to meet new people and kind of think of fun ways to improve the district and make sure that we represent all schools and students.
So you'll be chairing the Student Advisory Council? I
Yes.
guess?
Yes.
Yes.
That's great.
Excellent.
Look forward to having you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
congratulations
Congratulations.
to both of you.
Madam Chair, I believe parents may be in the audience. I remember meeting some outstanding supporters out there.
Could we have parents of these two
Yes.
fine young people stand up?
Absolutely.
Family members? This is awfully exciting.
Yes, it is.
Did you have something?
Well, I didn't know that Madeline had been selected, so I'm beyond thrilled. But her mom, Dr. Fiak, is one of the, in the provost's office at FSU and my appointee to our district advisory council. So happy to have you, Madeline. Looking forward to that. And then after Ms. Striplin explains the agenda, I was hoping he could school us on how to say his name. So we can work on that.
Pronounce your name for us so we all know.
Yes.
Oh, it's Apoorva.
Apoorva.
Yeah.
We have it. Apoorva.
Okay.
Yeah. If it helps, instead of a U, it can be like two O's. So like A and then like the word pour and then va. So like Apoorva.
Got it.
Got it. And how do you say your last name?
That one's a bit more complicated. But,
Come on, try.
Baby steps.
Try us.
We can do it.
Srivastav.
Say it again.
Survasive.
Srivastav.
Srivastav.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. tired of us.
It's
says
perfect
that
at
way.
this moment, but
Yeah, you may have to remind us a time
it's
or
all
two.
good.
But we'll do the best we can.
Festive.
So
Thank
welcome,
you.
welcome to the dais.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
Very strong name.
We are next on changes and additions. Ms. Rasmussen?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The superintendent is recommending the approval of the following changes and additions to our board meeting agenda today. Adding item 19.04, the approval of Allstate Construction, a guaranteed maximum price contract for Phase 4A of Construction Manager at Risk, RFQ 427-2018, Construction Manager at Risk Services for Rickards High School building, new building, number 24. Yay.
Yay.
Woohoo!
A team
And we are adding 19.05, the Genesis Group short form agreement, Leon West Campus Site Improvement Project.
You have a motion?
I so move, Madam Chair.
Moved by Ms. Bowen, second by Ms. Streplin. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. And next is the superintendent spotlight. I see security monitors.
Madam Chair, if I could at this time bring up the proud principal of Amos P. Godby High School, Mr. Desmond Cole, who will
Okay.
introduce our special guest. And as you know, last year you all committed, or we did as a district, a little over $1 million and hired 50 security monitors that are unarmed that work side by side with our armed officers day in and day out. We have 3 at every high school and at least 1 at every middle and elementary school. And last week, I believe it was, the week before last,
2 weeks.
2 weeks ago, we had an incident at Amos P. Godby High School, and it worked exactly like it was supposed to. And I want Mr. Cole to kind of expand on that.
Well, let me have my folks come on up to join me up here, because we don't do anything in a vacuum in Godby High School. We have a strong team atmosphere, and I want to my immediate left is Ms. Shavonna Murphy, and next to her is Reginald Washington. And they're 2 of our 3 security monitors that were hired at the beginning of this year. We had on that day, on that Friday, I believe it was, about 1 o'clock, we had a car that was kind of wasn't known to us come onto the campus and parked. And these 2 folks, because they have eagle eyes, both of them, they were able to walk up, or drive, see this car parked there, and nobody had gotten out, and immediately called for administration and the law enforcement to come out there to see what was going on. And in the midst of a search, a loaded handgun was uncovered. Now, you know, it kind of gives Godby a black eye, but because of what you just mentioned, the proactiveness of these 2 folks, we were able to kind of avert any level of crisis that would have come to Godby High School that day. So I'm just real proud of them. We made many hires at Godby, but I'm especially proud of these 2 folks because they do their due diligence in keeping Godby safe on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. So if we could, Principal Cole, I'm gonna give each of them a medal, and we have another medal for the third one that's not here today. We'd like to take a picture, but you know, having started my career at Godby 31 years ago, I have a lot of fond memories there. But I've said it, and I'll continue to say it: the best defense we have, and all due respect to the experts at Department of Education. But this is it. It's having adult eyes and adult supervision on our campuses, monitoring who's coming on and who's going off. And no one knows that student population and those parents better than you do. And fortunately, it was unfortunate the incident happened to begin with, but it was very fortunate that you all were there and acted quickly and swiftly, contacted law enforcement, and the young man was arrested and charged, and all the students were safe. And I can't thank you from the bottom of my heart. I know I speak for all the people up here to thank you.
I just want to say, I don't think Godby got a black eye at all out of this. Prevention is the key, and that's what you guys did. I mean, things happen all over town. It's not Godby, but the fact that you had your people on the ground, you had a plan, and you executed it, gives you a gold star, not a black eye. So congratulations to you.
And Madam Chair, if you had
Yes.
just looked this way, just prior to your saying those words, those were the exact same things I was
We
going
just
to say.
think like that.
We just think like that about that Thorpe Street corridor, and you just can't hide that Godby pride.
Cannot.
It
You
is a
can't.
community that sticks together, stays together, and looks out for each other. And so we're very proud of what is happening over there, and I hope that you will have a wonderful summer, eat your Wheaties, and be ready for next year. Thank
Okay,
you.
take a picture.
Picture.
Come on, Apora.
Yes.
Yeah, you get used to this routine.
We got our new school board member in here.
We can't start graduation without you.
No, I got to be there. So, Mr. Washington, as he leaves, after the situation was well contained, say, Mr. Cole, is this a good time to ask for a raise? I said, you know what? I'll take that up with the superintendent. I just wanted to say that. I wanted to say that before I left.
You see those two ladies in the back right there? Right, there you go.
I just wanted to say that. Y'all have a great meeting.
Thanks. We'll
We
see-
could, hey, Mr. Washington, we could never pay you enough, man. I mean
Totally.
that. Thank you.
We'll see y'all later.
So, Madam Chair, if I may, take a moment of privilege. I know it's not on our agenda, but I see a familiar face in the audience, and I know sometime later this week, or maybe the first part of next week, I have a celebration to attend. I see Joe Burgess and longtime math instructor and coach Stan Goldstein here at the school board meeting. They didn't drive all the way over here, for nothing. So I'm gonna bring Joe up. Coach Goldstein, if you would, please come up. So one of my first memories of Coach Goldstein, say that fondly, I was playing football at Leon High School, and I think it was in between 2-a-days, and I pulled my dad passed away before my senior year, and he left me. I had his car. It was a big one of those old Cherokee Chiefs that was kind of jacked up real high. And so I got in my car, and I looked in my rearview mirror. I saw nothing. And I put my car in reverse. Bam! Backed right into Coach Goldstein's car.
Not
That was
good.
39 years ago. Almost, it may have been 40 years ago. And here Stan Goldstein is after 44 years of service to students like me, former student athletes like me, and thousands of others. Stan, and you've had a remarkable career and left an impact on so many young lives, and including mine. I'm just so grateful and thankful of your service.
So this is Stan Goldstein. He is a math teacher. He's a mentor, a friend, helps students. He also is a coach, affectionately through the flag football world. They all know Coach Goldstein, and he's coached tackle football and so many other sports. But baseball. He has been a teacher at Leon, Swift Creek, and for a number of years now at Childs High School. And so the superintendent had asked us, he knows about a gathering that we have for Mr. Goldstein and how well he's known in those communities and the impact that he has had. And so he's a representative body. I have a number of kids that they just adore him. And it's 3 generations strong. And so that's very unique when it comes to being a teacher. And I mean, he literally has 3 generations who have walked in where they say, you taught my grandmother, my mother, and now me. And I don't just say, no, I say that out of honor and respect. I mean, that's just the love that they have for him. And I will tell you, his brother and I were, talking. He says, well, one day we were, just a couple of years ago, he was saying, how many people know, my brother? And I said, well, you couldn't even fill up the Civic Center. I mean, you could fill it up and you wouldn't have enough seats. When you think about the amount of people that you touch as a teacher, you have those kids that you teach every day, and then that you coach, and even the ones that you affect because they're friends of theirs. And so I just want to thank the superintendent for giving a chance to him to be recognized. He is such a humble guy. He really usually, and anybody who's ever worked with him before, he will do PowerPoints and presentations for all of his students individually, and he will do it on hours on end because he wants to recognize them. Dr. Cox, who served out there at Childs High School, what kind of man I have standing next to me, and I'll stop rambling because I could go all day about him, but come on up.
Well, I still hadn't forgiven him because as a result of that fender bender, I had to go before the judge and sentenced to open the emergency room doors all night on a Saturday night instead of going to my junior prom. So, yeah, that was a harsh punishment. But
Money, you save some money.
did save some
Have you
save some
backed
money.
into any other cars since then?
No, ma'am, I have not. One post at the Leon County Civic Center, but no cars. Coach Goldstein's my only victim of I think he had a Charger or some sports car too. I can't remember yesterday, but I remember that day like it was yesterday.
Oh, that's neat.
You got
Items.
Rocky and Alan and all of you. I'm a little hoarse. I apologize, but it was hard today. The kids were helping me take things down, and it was difficult.
I understand. Thank you for your
But it was. I thank you guys for everything. It's something I've enjoyed doing for 44 years, and I've just wanted to make a positive difference. And I can assure you, all of you guys, and the administrators, and the faculty, and the staff, and the parents, and above everybody else, the kids have made such a difference in my life, and I can't thank everybody enough. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Outstanding service.
I think we're doing a picture because after all,
Doing a picture.
that's what we do, right?
We do pictures.
I used to find it down like you do. Yes, you did. See, it doesn't take long to wear you down.
Congratulations. Don't be a stranger.
You can come back. It's not a problem.
Oh, how nice is that?
That's one of the reasons we do what we do. Right
See,
there.
This is it.
Right there. This is it. And today will be a reminder that when we shake all those kids' hands walking across that stage at the Civic Center.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
So we have reports to be heard. District Advisory Council, Dwana Moore.
Day.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
The District Advisory Council met on May 9th. After we finished approving the agenda and the minutes, Dr. Gale gave us the ballot for the 2019-2020 nominations for members who want to serve on the District Advisory Council. So the membership had the entire meeting to vote and wait and, make the decision on who would succeed in the positions. We then went on to do our policy updates. We voted on policy updates for 5120, which is school choice and electronic communications package. The updates passed unanimously. We then had a best practice from Mr. Wayne Tedder and TJ Lewis. This is the one that the District Advisory Council has been waiting on all year long. And it talked about the city updates. Mr. Tedder and Mr. Lewis work for the city of Tallahassee. And they told us about all of the upcoming growing additions to the city. And it was really amazing. Every time they do this presentation, we learn something new about what's happening in the city. And so we always appreciate them coming. Then we ended the meeting with SAC questions and wrap up on any issues and special presentations. The special presentations went to those who were currently on the executive board for the District Advisory Council, and we also got the results of our nominations for the council. So this is my last meeting because I have served for 2 years as District Advisory Council chairperson. I am the vice chair this year, but next school year there will be a new chair standing here for the District Advisory Council. And that is the report.
Thank
Did
you
you
for-
tell us who that was? I'm sorry.
Janetta Wells.
So familiar. She served us.
She has served in the capacity of the chairperson before, and
Okay,
she's committed and dedicated to the
Right.
District Advisory Council.
Well, great. We're
Okay.
still in good
Thank you for
hands.
your
Thank
service,
you.
Tawana.
Yes,
I
thank
can't believe it's been
You've
2
done a
years.
fabulous job.
2 years.
Seems like you just gotta, I know.
Decades. No.
Thank
We're
you
very
so much.
grateful.
Thank you. Good job.
Appreciate it. Let's see, next, Title I Advisory Council, Talithia Edwards.
How y'all doing today?
Oh my gosh, all I saw was that little foot. I'm like, there is a baby in there.
I know this is like real life. So, a lady in my neighborhood dropped her baby off to my house, so we have him for now.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, life must go on,
I thought it
and
was
we
a
must continue to do the
imprint
work
on
we
your-
have.
Well,
Wow.
you've had just a little bit of practice, though, right?
Yeah, so I have 7 of my own.
Didn't phase her one bit. She just keep on going.
Just wrap them and keep going.
That's so great.
I thought it was a
So,
leaf on the fry.
glad to be here today with the baby who's gonna make noise. But the Title I Advisory Council met on May 13th, and we had elections. So we have new officers. They thought I didn't do such a bad job, so they kept me as chair. This is our vice chair. I'll let her introduce herself.
Hello, I'm Anita Whitby Davis. I'm the vice chair this year.
And Mr. Charles Williams is our secretary. And so we are excited to take TAC to into the new year. We plan to do some summer planning. We're going to kick off the year with the equity workshop for the Title I Advisory Council, since that's the lens through which we do our work. And so just a little bit about what's been going on. A lot has been happening with Title I, as you all know, in the last few days. Our resource centers will be opening on the last day of school, which I'm very excited. I visited the district resource center and took a lot of pictures. There's a lot of things in that resource center. And I was just so surprised that I went live, because I wanted parents to see the investment in these resource centers and that they can come and get these resources for free. And so now there are going to be 5 resource centers that will open to help prevent the summer slide at Griffin Middle School, Pineview Elementary, Sable Palm, Hartsville, and Bond. And so I'm really excited. I hope that the parents will find out about these resources and use them so that the kids don't have that actual slide that is coming. Also, I attended just briefly the Conscious Discipline workshop that happened on May 8th. I didn't stay because I did the training with Hartsville when they rolled out their Conscious Discipline, so it was no need for me to stay because I had already done it. But the enthusiasm in the room was very, very encouraging, that this is something new, it is something different, it is definitely innovative in our Title I schools, the different culture, that we're used to dealing with. And so to see the kind of, everybody was pumped up in the room about this conscious discipline, to learn something new, because it challenges the adult first, right? So it's not something we're implementing on the kids, it challenges us first. And so I was excited to see that. So we also had something really fun I'm going to let Miss Anita talk about, and then I'll come back.
Yes. Okay, so how many of our board members heard about Ready Freddy?
We all did.
Yeah, so we rolled that out. Ready Freddy, our wonderful superintendent, came over and met us at Bond Elementary School, where we met all of our enthusiastic little VPK students. They were putting on their little backpacks and they were so excited. We're looking forward to that. Having worked with our Title I office, and to see that we are now meeting the needs of those students. We all know that our Title I students had the half-day VPK, but now we have an opportunity to offer them a full day of VPK. That is outstanding, truly outstanding. So we thank you all. We thank our Title I office for making certain that these children could afford these opportunities. So that is definitely outstanding. We are going to have our Title I family literacy ready on May 29th. At Blaze Pizza on Magnolia Street. So we hope to see all of you all there as well to take part in that. But we are so excited. These little backpacks for the summer for our students had a lot of skill-based information inside of them that the parents can take home. Sometimes our parents don't know, what do I need to work with my child during the summer? So they had math products, we had our reading, our letters, and even talking about motor skill development for our children. So they are excited. We have all of these little VPKers that are ready to go to big kids school and kindergarten. So we're excited to take part in that, and we look forward to working further with those.
And what was exciting about that, one of the little boys, he cried. And I asked, I said, why are you crying? He said, I'm so surprised. I didn't think I was going to get anything today. And that was just amazing to see that, you know, they weren't expecting that. And I told him, I said, it's okay to be overcome with emotions. Those are good tears, right? And he said, yeah, but the kids were really excited about the backpacks. So it's good to have some fun in Title I schools. We always talk about what our problems are. So this was something really fun to have Freddie out. But not to hold up your time, we also have Ready Freddie is going to go out to Rickards High School as a part of the AVID program for the Career and College Ready. So Freddie will be in different professional costumes that day. So I'm excited excited about that. That's going to be at 10 a.m. on the last day of school. Also, Friday night, and we're also launching the mobile Title I STEM Lab. That's going to be a big deal as well. And even more great, we are having a Title I conference. Ron Clark is coming. Really, really excited. He's coming to us because he's expensive to go to him. But those dates are, you know, June 11th through the 13th. I'm going to do a breakout session, which I'm excited about. And my session will be about community engagement and practical ways for teachers and schools to implement community and parent engagement. And so I'm hoping that this is a way to not only the teachers have asked a lot about professional development when we're in our TAC meetings, they're asking we need more training, we need more professional development. So this is a way in 3 days to jam pack. I've seen some of the conference schedule, and it's going to be some great stuff. So I'm hoping that all of our Title I teachers and staff and community will take advantage of this time of training so that one, we can begin to kind of fellowship a little bit, and then we can have some more tools in our toolbox. So I'll see you all in the fall. Thank you.
Thank you. Before you go, and first I want to commend you for the outstanding work that you continue to do and the commitment and the energy that you bring to the community with all of the wonderful programs that you engage in. Would you just speak to, for just a moment, for those parents that are listening, the kinds of products that they might be able to get from the resource centers? What's happening there? And then after you talk about that a little bit, tell me the age of the baby, please.
Okay. So yeah, in the parents who are listening, in the resource center, they're all types of resources. There are manipulatives. I was so excited about the math manipulatives because what they cost and what I've paid for them to get them for free. You have flashcards, you have books, you have pencils and pens if you don't have it. In the district resource lab, there's a computer, there's a reading area for the children. There are everything. I was able to I took home from my oldest son a text anxiety 1-pager. So there's a range not only for little kids, but all the way up in this resource center. So I advise, if you have not been to the resource center, that you go check out the one at your school or closest to your school, or come here to the district. It was amazing, the type of puzzles.
Yes,
it was all types of things. Go to my Facebook page. I put it on there so you can go see it. But the baby is 15 days old. I've had him since he was 5 days old.
That's
so yeah.
what I thought. One of the things that I need to say to you very clearly, you and your group, you mentioned earlier that you didn't want to take up more of our time. I need to take a little bit of an issue with that. Our time is your time.
Absolutely.
We do what we do because you do what you do, and you do it so well, and you make us look so good. So I really want to correct that, and I want to get that out of your mind. You work too hard. You know what I'm saying? And I see head nods all around, and I'm getting all emotional. But because you do what you do, we are able to be as good as we are as a system. So don't stop. And anytime you think there are some things that we need to know or some innovations, bring them to us.
Thank you so much.
Even if it's 15 days old.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I thought about this just to, people say, I'm not connected to this mother in any way besides she knows that I do community work, and she brought this baby to my house. And I thought about, this is a child that is going to potentially be in our school system, right? And so I could have easily said I have my hands full and for her to figure it out, but I do feel that this is a village, and so all of these children are our responsibility. So as long as I have to have them, I'll have them. So pray for us.
Oh, wow.
Appreciate it.
Talithia, real quick, and God bless you for what you do for our community, just for that one little soul that you said, you know what, give him to me, I'll strap him to me and
That's
take him
right,
with me.
that's
Not many people would do that, so
Exactly.
really, you're another treasure for Leon County Schools. Quick question: the Resource Center. Do you have anything on paper you could send as far as what it offers? I'd like to send it out to our families in the Big Brothers Big Sisters network. I mean, there's 400 or 500 kids, and most of them are Astoria Park Bond, Hartsfield, and Oak Ridge.
Definitely, we'll
So
get
if you
something
have
sent
anything you can
over.
email, we'll get it out to our families.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you guys.
You know, I need to share this, and I want to ask your permission to share your story on Madam Chair.
Sure.
On June 8th, I've been invited to Marianna, Florida, to speak to a community group, Girls of Pearls, of about 15, 25 girls that go through all kinds of activities and awards and final womanhood, that kind of thing. But it's a community thing because there's not a whole lot to do in Marianna, if you know anything about it. And they've just gone through all of these hurricanes, and they still living in tents and this kind of thing. So I thought I was going there to be talking to the girls, but I got a call last night. Instead of me talking to the girls, they want me to talk to the community about what the community can do to support the kind of services that you're providing. And with your permission, I want to tell your story.
Oh, sure.
And
I'm happy you brought up June 8th. You're welcome to share the story. I think this is all of our story, to be very honest.
okay.
You know, I live and breathe this. It's real life, right? So a lot of people say, "Oh, I saw you on the news," or "I saw this," and that doesn't matter. But this is real life. When I'm not on the news, I'm facing real situations. I'm in Bond and volunteering and buying shoes for kids who can't fit shoes. This is real life and what's happening. So definitely, it's all of our story. I think
Okay.
it's definitely the community needs to understand that if all of us come together, it makes systems work better, right? We create bridges and connections, and we're able to do
That's the
this,
topic.
you know, all the way better. But last thing, June 8th, you brought this up. I forgot. Title I is partnering with the Greater Bond neighborhood and Moms Demand Action. And 3 years ago, I started Leaping for Literacy when I found out that the children at Bond had really low reading literacy rates, and I wanted to know, how do we incentivize them for meeting their reading goals.
Right.
And last year we expanded. Superintendent Hannah came out as we did a book carnival, and we collected over 2,000 books. So this year, Title I is partnering, and we're going to donate a box of books to each elementary Title I school, and we're going to do that on June 8th. That's the Wear Orange Day. So Mothers Demand Action does a community event. They're partnering with us, and we're going to give those books that day. Leaping for Literacy is going to expand itself. So,
Okay.
all right, thank you.
That's wonderful. If the community comes together, the system works better. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's my topic.
Okay, well, next is our Leon County School Audit Committee quarterly report. And we're going to just find this just as exciting, but you have,
I
have
was
no
just gonna
baby
say,
strapped
how
to you,
am I
so it's
supposed
not
to
going to be
follow
quite
Miss
as
Edwards here? I don't
Yeah.
have a baby. I only have 5 kids myself. Miss Striplin taught my oldest.
Oh,
There you
okay.
go.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Well, tell us a little bit about your
Yes.
story, though, and how you got here.
Okay, so I'm Alan Blay. I was appointed by Dee Dee about 3 years ago, I think, something like that. And we also, by the way, Mr. Bailey back here is one of our newer audit committee members.
Welcome.
Back here. So he's here today also. I ended up this way. I'm a professor at Florida State University. Like I mentioned, I have 5 kids. One of them's graduated already. The other 4 are still in the Leon County school system.
Okay.
And Mr. Asmussen asked me if I would join this because I have some background in audit committees and in financial statement auditing, and I was very happy to do so. So I
appreciate your
enjoy this.
expertise.
Although I don't think it's as interesting and exciting as what Miss Edwards was talking
But
it's
about.
important.
It's important. That's right. It's important.
Yes.
It's
Keep us out of jail,
important.
please.
So we met on April 19th, 2019, and we welcomed another new audit committee member. Her name is Julie Leftheris, and Superintendent Hannah appointed her, and she is incredibly experienced. She's got 25 years experience. She's a CPA and also a certified internal auditor, and she's got tremendous ability. And between her and Mr. Bailey, we have some incredible new members on this audit committee, and that's going to help us out a lot moving forward. At our meeting, Mr. Wimberly reported he presented the financial overview for the board, the financial overview, and he provided the highlights for all the funds, for the general fund, capital outlay, debt service, special revenue, and gave us a comparison from last year to this year. Everything seemed appropriate and exactly what we would have expected, and the audit committee didn't raise any particular issues with it. We had a new auditor this year, Purvis Gray and Company, and Tim Westgate, who was the audit partner, came in and presented at our meeting and presented all the required communications. So auditors are required, the independent auditors are required to come before the audit committee and present certain matters to us that are required. Most importantly is that the district received an unmodified audit opinion, which is the highest level of assurance provided by an external auditor, which basically means, in their opinion, everything is reasonable after their audit. There also were no reportable findings for the federal single audit, which is an audit of selected federal programs, so that's also very good. And then they presented some findings and recommendations related to basically internal controls and things like that, related to capital assets, proper recording of journal entries, timely recognition of a couple of accounts, which I think have been mentioned here before. Ms. Banks, the CFO, provided some additional clarity regarding these findings and detailed the corrective actions that the district is putting into place, and the audit committee expressed no concerns regarding the corrective actions being implemented. And in all honesty, this is a huge improvement. You know, so this is good. You know, this is all good.
We like hearing that.
Yes.
We do.
Yes. And so Megan Camp, who's also with Purvis Gray and Company, presented the internal accounts audit report, and the findings and recommendations that were presented related to things like timeliness of deposits, adequate supporting documentation, appropriate approvals. This is totally routine. This is what you would expect given this volume of transactions and the way everything is outsourced to the schools and how difficult it is, right? One of the things we talked about had to do with collections of money on field trips and things like that. I mean, it's supposed to get deposited in a certain manner, and with everything the teachers have going on, as many of you know, this is just really challenging for them to do, and everything else. So related to this, the audit committee expressed no concerns regarding the internal accounts findings and recommendations either, because it all seemed exactly what you would expect. In fact, I'd classify those things as about the minimum problems you're ever going to find with a school board of this size, with a school district of this size. Tim Westgate, the audit partner, also reviewed the engagement letter for this coming year, and he noted that there's going to be a 5% increase in fees up to $157,500. Industry standard is typically a 6% increase in fees, so this is not unusual. The other thing I would note is this is mostly just due to them now having done an audit and having a better understanding of the number of hours. First-year audits are often significantly lower than second-year audits. 5% is nothing. So this is a very typical increase in fees. Ms. Paul also provided a list of the audit reports issued by their office and technical assistance advisements that had been issued since the last meeting. There were 2 audit reports and 3 technical assistance advisements, but we didn't talk about them. We tabled it until the next meeting because we had already gone way over and had talked with so much else going on with Purvis Gray giving their report. So that was basically what we talked about at the last meeting. Our next report to the board will be in August, and just as a reminder, audit committee meetings are held 4 times a year. It's July, October, January, and April, and our next meeting is Thursday, July 18th.
Great.
And that's the report.
Thank you so much for your report.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
And thank you to Ms. Paul, who I see in the audience, for her hard work to come up with such a great audit. We know a lot of work went into that, so thank you so much.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I just wanted to comment that Dr. Blay, I didn't know him, but I I used the advanced search on Google to find expertise at Florida State University in the field of auditing, and found him, and he was gracious enough to agree to come. And I didn't know that he was my constituent with all those children in our schools. But I'm really grateful for all the partnerships we have with FSU. I've mentioned Dr. Fayok earlier and now Dr. Blay, but especially in an area like this where the expertise, I mean, if an accomplished professor of accounting and auditing says to me, this is all normal, it's all fine, you know, I just feel a whole lot better about that. And I really appreciate the fact that we have the expertise on this committee, and that you're willing to share your time, the time that it takes to dig into all of this. So thank you very much, all of you, for your service.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
May I also say I agree certainly with Board Member Rasmussen here, and Ms. Paul and her office certainly are to be commended for the wonderful and hard work they've been doing for years in answering to this board as our audit committee. When I heard it's all routine and I saw the smile and I read the report some weeks ago, I thought, well, we're on our way now to have some things that should be done. And I heard challenges and routine in the same breath, and there were still smiles, which means that we look at the good, the bad, and the ugly. I also think that we ought to commend Ms. Banks and her staff for the work that they are doing and how they're working together to make us still be as good as we are. And I think that there will be some cross-training happening in the various offices so that work continues when employees leave, so that we're not left in a lurch. And we thank them also for that expertise and that kind of vision that they show in making certain that we continue to take the responsibilities that we need to take and be accountable for the dollars and the use, and to make sure that the trainings are there for these individuals in our schools, our program assistants, and our folk who collect the dollars. Just needed to say that. So thank each of you very much. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Ma'am.
If I may, Madam Chair, you couldn't have said it any better, Ms. Bowen. The relationships that Ms. Banks and Naomi are building with
Absolutely.
Levitra and other people on the Capitol side. We had a good hire, you know. We hated to lose Tamika, but Kathy replacing Tamika. I mean, we have a really strong team. And Meryl, I thank you
Yeah,
for the search. And we could have settled, and we didn't. It took us a long time to find Ms. Banks, but we have a person in place that will serve many superintendents after me and serve them well, as will Ms. Paul and others. And we're opening those lines of communication. I think we're in a really, really, really good place.
Great. I feel good myself.
Okay, well, with that, let's move to the academic services update. Ms. Gregory.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Superintendent, board members. Before you this evening, there will be a couple of different items on the consent agenda, and so we just wanted to give some academic services updates around those items. One package of items are renewals that are related to IT. There are two enterprise-wide system deployment renewals. One is Blackboard and the other is Skyward, and so that is before you this evening. And then there are two PTSA packages. One is for outsourced IT services related to business services, True Time, and other programs that we're implementing. And then the other is an IT package that is supporting directly schools and providing help desk support to schools for during the course of the 2019-20 school year. The other item the other update is just to share with you that on Friday, third grade test results were released for the English Language Arts Assessment, FSA assessment. The district maintained above average state performance. We outperformed the state as it relates to the third grade assessment results. We are currently working with schools on their results, particularly because this score represents the gatekeeper score for students going to fourth grade. So students have to get a certain score in third grade to go to fourth grade. So we are in the last week of school. We get them on Friday. So we are in the last week of school working with families and making sure that they understand what their options are in terms of promotion to fourth grade. And then those students who have been identified will participate in the Summer Reading Academy at select sites. So all of our students participate. We just have 6 sites open during the summer to provide them deep intervention on any kind of reading deficiency so that they can demonstrate mastery of the third grade skills.
So they'll have another opportunity to do that.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So Jillian, when will you release those school scores to the board?
We will have a package for you shortly in the next 24 hours. The schools have their results. The parents can access the results. The schools are in the process of communicating with parents, and then we'll have a one-pager for you shortly.
Okay. And the couple of schools that were sort of in that region of needing to improve, when do we have more details on that?
So we have the third grade results, but I would caution us to use that. I would caution against using that as a true barometer because that is really 1/3 of 1/7 of the school grade, because third, fourth, and fifth grade are ELA, and third graders don't count in learning gains unless they've been retained. So what I can say is that, we ascribe to the theory of no surprises. And so we have schools, students, I have not yet heard that anybody is surprised, like somebody underperformed or significantly overperformed what they were expecting. So that's actually a good indicator of that we kind of know where we are in the process. But we will give you all of the third grade results for each of the schools. But I would just caution against using that as a barometer of how the school may do in terms of school grades because it's just a fraction of one of the 7 boxes.
So I guess my question was more overall school grade. When can we anticipate?
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. What we have been told by the Department of Education is that they have until June 29th to release individual school test grades. And then it would be reasonable to infer that a week or two after that is when we would get school grades. So past practice has been, for example, in most recent years, we would get individual school score results the second week of June, and we would get school grades the fourth week of June. So if they are going to take until the fourth week of June this year, we would probably get school grades the first or second week of July.
Okay, and the Summer Reading Academy will not retroactively alter school grades, right? That
No,
is
ma'am. So Summer Reading Academy, the way I organize it, that's really about students, and school grades are really about all of the students. Summer Reading Academy is about a really small subset of students who need really intensive intervention. So it's a different type of reading program that we use with them because we've used things during the year. We want to use something different. Smaller class sizes, paraprofessionals and teachers together, working intensively with the students in a all-day period just on English Language Arts skills. That's the Summer Reading Academy. It's really independent of the school grades. The school grades, we would anticipate them being released in July and having an update to you right around then because there are certainly some implications for differentiated accountability, although we certainly hope everyone is a C or higher.
In the Summer Reading Academy, that's only available to students who scored below a certain
Yes, ma'am.
certain level.
Level 1.
Okay, and that is for how many weeks?
It is 4 weeks, but it transcends the July 4th week, so we push into July.
And there's no additional cost for those students to go to that, correct?
Thank you for asking. No, there is no cost, and there is transportation provided. So students, families the students would be transported to a site. They're centers, so we don't run them at every school. And those schools that are centers have been identified, and the parents have we've begun the process of communicating with parents well before the release of the test scores.
Right.
Again, the idea being that no parent should be surprised that their student is struggling. So we have a responsibility as educators that as soon as we learn that little Johnny is struggling, we engage those parents, we have conversations, letters go home, and we have multiple conversations throughout the course of the year so that when the results come in, if they should be below what we would hope, that no parent would ever call any of our offices and say, I didn't know what do you, right? That should never happen. And so those conversations happen long before, so the calls this week should be, he didn't make it. What are we going to do to help support them during the summer?
And I think this was so funny how you guys all dovetail. This we had the food service conversation a few weeks ago. So at these sites, these students will be provided breakfast, lunch.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And an extended day option. Do they have that available as well? Or is that still in the?
So it just depends because of supervision issues.
Right.
So for example, because extended day, after the summer school camps go on field trips. The field trips are often gone when the children finish up with Summer Reading Academy, so they don't have staff there. So it just really depends. And so if a parent has a need and they're listening and they have a need, they can work with the school administration or the Summer Reading Office, and we can see what we can do to help them.
Okay.
But certainly kind of writ large, they're two separate programs because one is fee-based and one is free.
Okay. And sorry, I don't mean to bombard you, just all of a
it's
sudden.
okay, and there's-
One more question and then I'm finished, I promise. Going back up to 12, the annual maintenance for Blackboard and for Skyward, is that an annual renewal fee? Does it fluctuate? And how long are we on contract? Is this a contractual basis with
So
these?
it's annual, so yearly we get the renewal, and so they don't fluctuate necessarily, but we always budget in when we begin a contract for an X% increase. So both of these renewals were within that percentage increase, so we were not surprised by the amounts. I don't remember them off the top of my head. I can certainly look them up, but
I've got 'em.
they were not surprises, and they were within the range of the percentage increase that we calculate when we set aside dollars. So it's not like for Blackboard, we're surprised that it's $100,000. We knew that it was going to be that because we signed a contract for the year,
Okay.
and we know.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Just one thing I want to add, I think this is correct. Students who score a 1 by law must be retained unless they complete the Summer Reading Academy. Can you explain that little part of it, or how
Sure.
students can be promoted? through
Yes,
the-
ma'am.
through
I'm
the
sorry.
summer?
So the state statute is very clear that a student who scores at a level 1 on the FSA is required to be retained unless we can demonstrate a promotion for good cause. And so promotion for good cause has many different avenues, but essentially we have to demonstrate that the standards that have been identified as third grade standards that the student has scored a level 1 on the assessment, that assessment is not an accurate picture of what the student can do. So we have things like portfolios, we have things like other assessments that can be administered to the students that are allowable under the state guidelines for children who maybe they're just a bad test taker and they actually have the skills. And so we have been collecting these portfolios all year long. So as soon as a student is struggling, not literally, but there's a little red flag that's raised. And so we start identifying where they're deficient in skills, where they've demonstrated mastery of skills, and then our teachers throughout the course of the year with paraprofessionals and with support staff really hone in on driving and supporting students closing that gap. But if by now they haven't, we try different programs during the summertime. Students who are ESC, students who have disability in and around reading, perhaps they did not pass the FSA. They have a level 1 in the FSA. And so there are things that we can do in terms of that. Students who speak English as a second language, students who have been retained in prior grades. So what it does is we have this law that is required. And then as a district, under the Promotion for Good Cause guidelines, we really sit down and Ms. Crawl, the administrators, and they literally go, and those in charge of the summer, they go student by student, and they identify where they have skill deficiencies at the beginning. They remediate them throughout the course of Summer Reading Academy. They administer assessments. They have a portfolio. And then child by child at the end of Summer Reading Academy, Ms. Crawl, the child's originating school administrator, a reading coach, and the Summer Reading Academy administrator, reading coach, they sit down together as a team and they make the decision for promotion or retention in the best interest of that individual child. Because what we do know is we don't want to wholesale retain children. Children who are retained at least one time in elementary school have a higher rate of dropout. So if a child is going to be retained, we are making it in a thoughtful way, and we're making it with many different pieces of information to help make sure that it's the right thing for that individual child. So it's not just a state law, it's really about us manifesting it with the whole child in mind.
Quick question.
Thank you for
So,
that.
quick question, you probably mentioned this and I just missed it. When a parent's told that might be the case, if a child is going to be at what point in the year?
As soon as we identify a deficiency, a child struggling, parents are notified. And then, so it could be as early as the first 2 weeks of school, students take the STAR assessment for accelerated reader and participation. If a child's really struggling and is demonstrating a level 1 at that point, the teacher is engaging in conversation with their grade level, the RTI process, and parents are invited to those meetings. So it could happen at a parent conference. Certainly by the end of the 9 weeks, it is our expectation, the first 9 weeks, that a student who's struggling, there is an expectation that conversations are occurring with families. Now, the formal letter doesn't come out until the FSA, but those conversations are happening throughout the course of the year. We don't want any parent surprised.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So on Friday, we received our reports, and we're still trying to analyze the data. And one of the things that I lobbied for with Jessica and the legislature was to add an 8th box at elementary school that would include third grade retention, because I think it is an important component for our elementary schools. And We were unsuccessful this year. We'll go back next year because it's a small number. I mean, it's not a large number of students. And then once they complete the portfolio process and promotion for cause, it's even a smaller number. But what I had proposed to the legislature was to take 2 and above that are not by statute, do not have to be retained by statute, to include that as a separate box, as an 8th box, which would really help some of our elementary schools that are on the bubble, because those kids, although they might not be a level 3, score high enough not to trigger the automatic retention clause in the statute.
Let's keep working on that. It's a good idea.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, next we have persons to be heard.
Madam Chair, we have one speaker, Scott Mazer. Please come to the podium, give us your address. You'll have 3 minutes.
Address 3319 Dartmoor Drive. Madam Chair, school board members, superintendent. Appreciate the opportunity to talk to you guys today. One of the things I wanted to bring forward is, as policymakers, some possible choices. One of the things that we understand with the audit is financial, but we also have people that are involved in the school system. And one of the things that we're asking you to consider is an exit interview for folks that become, whether resignations, terminations, whatever it is of exiting out of the school system. We can do climate surveys, we can do Sterling reports, different things that give information, but if we have a continual feed of information, then it also allows us to take that information and have conversations with legislators. Why is it that we have people that are the turnover rate, either as support staff or as teachers or whatever it is? Because the idea is to have those conversations so that we can have the resources available for students. And so if it's something that would improve the climate and make us more responsive and proactive, we think that's a possibility for Leon County schools. Another thing is, had conversations at times, but the cell service in certain schools does not work. Like, your phone calls get dropped. And if we're going to have apps on phones that allow us to communicate for different reasons, for safety, if you can't have a signal that continues, is there something that we can do to address that issue as well? So I know that John Hunker is very responsive as far as safety and security. There's a lot of different things with Wi-Fi, but if someone's trying to really work on that cell service and students are trying to call out or do whatever, how can we make that a little bit better for those folks so that we don't drop those calls? One of those things. So I appreciate your time and consideration, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott.
Can I just real quick?
Yes.
That is a great point about the cell phone service, and can we have somebody look into that? Why it just I don't know if it's the build, I don't know what it is, but just gone.
One of the things, and I don't see John, but the geofencing is what they'll be doing around the app that they'll be using, and I don't know if that will help at all. But
I don't know, but even you think about emergencies where the kids, texting parents or, I mean, think about all the texts that went back and forth, unfortunate incidents, but if there's no communication, that's where I would.
This building would be a fine example.
This building, what is it with these these concrete block walls? It just blocks out everything. There's John. John, so we get some follow-up on on cell phone service in some schools and maybe how to improve that in the future, not today.
I'd also like some follow-up on the exit interview process.
That was a great suggestion.
Because that
Good
happens
stuff,
at
Scott.
large institutions, even at FSU, we
Yeah.
go through that, and I looked forward to it. So anyway,
Yep.
in a positive way, of course.
Yeah.
No, but
No,
you
I
got to
like
hear
that.
what people say when they leave.
Yeah, make changes.
Okay, next we're on items of consent. Do I have a motion?
Move approval.
Second,
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Opposed? Passes. And we scroll on down to 19. Items for consideration. Our first one is 1901, and I see Mr. Albritton coming up, so you can explain it.
Okay, 1901 is a public hearing for the adoption of the 2019-2020 capital outlay budget.
Okay, we had a long discussion about the capital outlay budget at our last 2 meetings. Do I have a motion to approve?
I move the approval.
Is there a second? And it's been moved by Ms. Bowen, second by Ms. Striplin. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Y'all got your money. Okay, 1902.
1902 is superintendent's recommendation for Barnett, Franzek, Barlow, and Schuler Architects, Amendment 1, Professional Architectural Services Contract for Fairview Middle School, Phase 5, demo of Building 1, renovations of Building 3 of 4, and site improvements. The,
Move approval.
Second.
Been moved by Ms. Striplin, second by Ms. Bowen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. 1903, amendment to the calendar.
Move approval. I don't remember what it was. What was that?
Trim dates.
Oh, is that the trim date?
That's the trimmed, good afternoon,
Good.
I'm sorry,
Oh, we
Madam
got her.
Chair, Superintendent, Board members. This amendment to the calendar comes because of trim dates, and I'd like to ask Merrill Wimberly and Kim Banks to join me so that they can answer or provide any information needed with our trim dates. There's also a change in the calendar because on July the 9th, we will be going to Mumford Middle School for our next mobile meeting, but I'll allow them.
Is that on here? No.
This will be my last one. This will be the last time you hear me ask you to be at our trim meetings because, but I want to emphasize that Kim will be saying the same thing I'm saying.
Just maybe not in the same manner.
There's 3 dates. We got to have 3 of you, or we will not comply with trim.
Oh, I have.
Budget-wise, trim is the most important law of the year. If we screw it up, all kinds of stuff happens. Have to re-advertise, and it's embarrassing, and we could end up with our rollback rate, which would be horrible. So, July 23rd, permission to advertise. We need you here for that meeting, at least 3. July 30th is the first budget tentative hearing.
Which is a new meeting we're adding today, right?
Yes, that's,
On Wednesday.
as you see, it's a week after, so.
Yes, we do. I
And
do.
then the final meeting is September 10th for the final hearing. And just as an aside, on July 23rd, you do not have to have a budget discussion. Normally, we don't have any. We just approve the advertisement and move on. My recommendation is not open it up for budget discussion. That's for the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, is that all?
I think that's
I
it.
don't know, Madam Chair, that he looks like there's something else he wants to say to us as he says this is his very last time. And I think we just
Not
ought
his
to.
last meeting.
No, he has another meeting. We're not letting him
Okay,
go.
all
Right.
right. We're not gonna
not
let him
yet.
do
Right.
it now. Well, we know Merrill. We
Well,
know
what I mean,
Merrill.
this is the last time I'll be going over this stuff. so.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Kim, I guarantee you, she'll be just as dogged on it as I've been,
Okay.
so.
Sounds pretty important.
Good.
Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in
Yes.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Thank you very much,
great.
all of you.
Hold on, real quick, before Dr. Gale leaves, do you want to ask your question now about, since she's at the podium, can you do
I
that?
can, yes. It's a conversation we had earlier in the week based on some questions.
Take that hat off and put another hat on, right?
Okay.
Your choice hat. Just wanted to, since the classical school is not going to open, I've had a number of people ask what's the process for folks who may want to have their children in our public schools. And so just wanted to know what the process is going to be.
Thank you for that opportunity. The superintendent has worked with staff on July 1st for anyone who's interested in choice. As you know, the window has already closed. It closed on March 1st, well-advertised window. However, there are circumstances such as hardship wherein parents can apply, and we have to look at capacity in our schools to make a decision. We do have a committee. The superintendent has appointed a committee. We carefully look at all of the information. So July 1st, and we just met with IT last week to look at what it's going to look like for Focus. So it's a very easy process, which will open on July 1st. It's not a first come, first served basis. We'll look at every application, for hardship to make those very critical decisions. And they'll be made very quickly so parents know what they can do.
Okay. And so how do they find out about that?
It will be on the front of our webpage. We're working on a message right now. We're also going to send it out via social media as we normally do, and it's also will be posted on the school choice webpage.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any questions?
No, I was wondering about numbers, but I guess it's too early to even ask about numbers at this point, I guess. 'Cause
As
we
far as
don't know.
capacity is concerned?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. That fluctuates. We started
Okay.
talking about that a little bit. And I'd just rather wait until we have a better view on that.
That works for me.
Thank you. We'll
Thank you.
wait to hear more
We will.
when you know hard facts, unless there's something else you want to add, Superintendent.
No, I think we're good. No news is good news. So we'll just stop there. So yes, they can apply for hardship. The hardship being that their school they anticipated that would open in the fall is not going to open.
That is correct, sir.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, so 1904, I believe Mr. Albritton is coming back up.
Yeah.
1904 is the second building at Rickards. 1904 is the superintendent's recommendation for approval for all state construction, guaranteed maximum price for contract of Phase 4A, construction manager at risk, for Rickards High School, new building 24. The price of the building, or the guaranteed max price is $7,374,765, and this is a phased project as funding becomes available.
I move the superintendent's recommendation, and this is not new information.
No. Yes, second? Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Ms. Bowen, Ms. Rasmussen, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Got it. Okay.
So real quick, just for clarification too, Dean, this building is about 6,000 square feet larger than 23. They're putting some mechanical rooms down in the basement, which is going to give us more classroom space. We spent, I don't know how many hours at Rickards on Friday, 3 hours, Chris. And we have a really good plan. We're excited. We're going to go ahead and knock down Building 3 like we originally intended to do. And there was some discussion as to office space. That office, yeah, it's really funky how it was set up. They don't have enough space. So I think we have a fix for that. And we went into their media center, and their media center at Rickards is huge. I mean, it's beautiful, and it's beautiful. So we think we have a good plan going forward, which will allow us to stick to the original plan of knocking Building 3 down as well. And I think Allison and some of your team was going to meet with Hoy Start today to talk about kind of shifting gears and going back to what was originally proposed to knock that building down.
So we're meeting
Okay,
at
thank
2
you.
o'clock today.
The community appears to be very excited about it. They're driving by and talking about it, and we can remember some consternations we've been in the past, but it appears to be all positive, so.
It is, and I can't figure our weather pattern out. I'm not going to weigh in on the global warming thing, but so last year, if you remember, every day it poured. It rained.
Rained.
Every single day starting May the 1st, it would rain. And now this year is total opposite. We can't find rain. So I mean, in one way, it's bad that it's really hot and dusty outside, but for our projects, it's really good news because they know they have to open when school comes back in August. So
Right.
that's the good news.
Okay.
Yeah, that is good news.
Next is 1905, the Genesis Group short form agreement. Do you want to speak to that?
Leon West.
1905 is a short form agreement for Genesis. It's Leon West Campus Site Improvement Project. This is part of the security grant project. The price of this is $24,800.
So real quick, if I may, Madam Chair, Ms. Bowen. So John's been looking long and hard at Leon High School and how we can address some of the security concerns given its location in the middle of town, but also have ADA access to the Nettles building up on the west end of the campus. Because if we close that area in, it eliminates a wheelchair ramp. So this is going to be a group that's going to come in and look at how we can address some of those concerns, short of putting an elevator in the Nettles building. I remember, when I was a student at Leon, believe it or not, there was no elevator. I'm not sure who had the job of carrying all that furniture 3 flights of stairs, but I'm glad it wasn't me. But short of putting an elevator in the Nettles building, this is going to be try to look at another fix where we can move towards one point of entry at Leon and also meet ADA requirements.
Thank you.
Okay, so I move the superintendent's recommendation.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Okay. Information items, upcoming meetings. Do we need any discussion on that? None. So Do I skip all these? I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're just information items.
They're just information, so we don't really need those.
Right.
Unless anybody wants information. So next we have superintendent's comments.
So hopefully you took your vitamins, got plenty of rest over Memorial Day weekend because all the fun and excitement starts tonight at 7 p.m. The Leon County Civic Center for Amos P. Godby High School and their 200 plus graduates. So I'm excited. Another graduation season. It seems like,
It is fun.
I know just yesterday we were saying goodbye to the class of 2018 and how we are 2019, and before you blink, you'll be next.
Yeah.
But between now and then, we're very excited about the leadership that you'll bring as a school board member and the student district advisory council rep. So very thankful and appreciative, and enjoy your summer and embrace your senior year. You only get one shot. So.
That's right.
We're glad to share it with you. Yeah. Are there any continuing concerns from board members?
Not necessarily continuing, but in a form of reminding, we have the Florida School Boards Association, which starts June the 12th,
11th or 12th.
11th or 12th or whatever, but it's pretty important, and some of us are presenting and some of us are moderating, and so there.
Looking forward to it. I always
Yes.
learn a lot at those conferences.
Yes.
And then we'll come back and share what we learn.
Yes, we will.
Any new issues from board members?
On here.
I would like to request that we get a report or a workshop at our next board meeting on some of the changes that are coming up at the Gasvini Learning Center and Heritage Trails.
So noted.
Okay.
So yes, so at our next workshop, we can have a workshop around some of the changes going on with Success and Second Chance and at Heritage Trails.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other items for the agenda for concerns? Hearing none, I say we go and get ready for graduation.
Yes.
Adjourned.